Almighty God's beyond my comprehension. He fashioned the universe. He knows every soul on the planet, now and for all time, past and future. He knows our thoughts. He can number the hairs on your head and mine. He's worshiped by the heavenly creatures, rightly so. He's exists as a triune God, a threeness God that's even hard for us to understand. He can intervene in the world with miracles. He's fearsome. He's just. He's a warrior God who seeks to defeat evil. He seeks to bring all things under his feet where they belong. This awesome and, in a sense, almost unrelatable God came to earth as a human and sought to be a philos, a friend with humanity. Today, am I going to hunger after righteousness? And I'm going to make decisions that are the right decisions to make. Righteousness is a loaded term in the Bible. It talks about holiness in your lifestyle, living rightly, but it also talks about, it can be a judicial word of a declaration of righteousness by God. And the Bible uses it in both senses. And today I've got some choices. I can be driven by a hunger for righteousness. And if I am, I have the assurance, the promise of a never lying Jesus, the promise that I'll be satisfied, that God will help make my life what it should be. And so in Jesus, we have a relatable, anchor, understandable way of fathoming the character of God. So in Jesus the merciful, we see a God of mercy. In Jesus the kind, we see a God of kindness. In the patience of Jesus, we see the patience of God. In Jesus' joy, we see the happiness and the rejoicing of God. We get a greater understanding and glimpse of who God is when we look at Jesus, the incarnate God. You find Jesus not just in the beginning of all things, but you should find Jesus in the beginning of your morning, in the beginning of your day's activities. We should find Jesus in the beginning of our jobs, in the beginning of our meals, in the beginning of anything we do. Jesus is there. And the question is, do we find him? Do we acknowledge him? Do we live accordingly? And yet you've got Jesus, God himself. If anyone in all history deserves to be served and could call on people to serve, it would be God. I mean, the president gets served. President Joe Biden doesn't cook his own meals. He doesn't drive his own car. Well, that's because he's the president. Well, the president is a hangnail compared to God. And Jesus says the Son of Man came to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. I want to be like Christ. I'm so far from it, it's not funny. But in my own feeble way, it's a desire of my heart. And if the Son of Man came to serve, for me to be like Christ is not simply to watch a tennis game or figure out how to serve to beat someone. For me to be like Christ is to find those people who need to be served